So the reason I was bringing it up is because I wanted to hear you say the two most annoying words that ever...
Roll Tide!
If you were to give like one of the reasons why, one of your drawbacks, one of the reasons why you've never watched it in your life, what would it be?
And I mean this, y'all. Like, I've never sat down and watched soccer before. I've played it, like, when I've been to Mexico before on some mission trips and played soccer with some kids there, and they smoked me. I mean, it wasn't even... These are, like, 7-year-old kids smoking me in soccer, which doesn't say much because I'm garbage. But one of my biggest drawbacks is I see these score postings, and it'll be, like, 1-0. Right. And that's, like, the final of the game. And I know what it's like to watch American baseball and to sit there bored out of your mind the entire time and a game end like that. And I'm like, I don't know if I have time to invest in that.
Okay, so that was originally my biggest drawback too. The games are extremely low scoring. However, what you'll find and what I have found to love is the defensive struggle. Like, and when you really kind of understand what's going on, like when you see the ball, like what's happening, and you kind of understand the tactics surrounding it. Some of those 0-0 games or 0-0, those games are riveting.
So is there no overtime in soccer?
So in the World Cup, yes, or in cup finals, yeah,
okay.
In those kind of games, they will have what's called extra time, and it's 30 minutes. They have 15-minute halves, so it's basically 2 mini halves. And
or normal halves 30 minutes apiece.
No, normal halves are 45 minutes apiece. So it's
run around for 45 minutes?
Yes, they run around 45 minutes. There's a 15-minute break, and then there's 45 more minutes. And here, the crazier thing about it is...
15 minutes?
There's no timeouts. So there's no stoppage of play.
Is the clock continuously running?
The clock continuously runs.
Okay.
And so what ends up happening is, if there's like an injury... Yeah. If there's like an injury or somebody gets hurt or something happens that actually ends up meaning that the ball is not being played, that's what they call stoppage time. Okay. So they don't stop the game. They keep the clock running, but the ref's clock will start every time that there's a stoppage.
Okay.
So even if it's like 6 or 7 seconds, like the ball's not being played, there's a stoppage, his clock's gonna run. At the end of those 45 minutes, someone will hold up a scorecard and it'll basically say 4 minutes, 5 minutes, or whatever, and they play an extra 5 minutes at the end of the half. Because basically the idea is there needs to be 45 minutes of continuous play.
So when that happens, they still only get 15 minutes.
Wait.
Like of halftime. So like they're not going to halftime and then coming out and playing this extra 4 minutes. Like they're at the end of the first half.
Right.
There's no quarter breaks.
So halftime, no. Okay. Halftime ends up being sometimes around 49 minutes of play instead of 45. And then the game will end up normally going about 96 minutes at the end of the game. So yeah. And basically the whole time there's constant movement, constant motion. The tackling. So my biggest drawback before I ever got into it, I hated what we call flopping, which they call diving. But basically, we see it in basketball. We see it in other sports. It's dramatic, so you can get a call from the official. But to be fair, there are some brutal injuries in football or soccer. There's some brutal injuries in it. Like you're sliding at full speed sometimes to make what they call a tackle. As long as you go for the ball, you can do that. You can take someone's legs out. But as long as you get the ball. Right? You can't just go straight for their legs. You've got to be making a play on the ball. But if they trip over you and they break their ankle, you were making a play on the ball. So it can be, especially European football, like English football and German football, can be brutal. Really, really like physical play. You can bump and move each other out of the way. You can't tackle like like we would tackle. Anyway, so that's the main difference of the sport. There's no stoppage. That's the number one thing that most of my subscribers love about the sport.
Okay.
They can't stand American sports because of the stoppage of play. And every single one of our major sports, except for ice hockey, and even then there's some, I don't know much about hockey, but like our sports have stoppage so that we can have commercial breaks.
Yeah. So soccer doesn't have commercial breaks?
No, there's no commercials. So the only commercials that you get during a game will be during halftime. So you get 15. You can actually budget your day. You know exactly how long you're going into this. Basically, with roughly there might be 8 or 9 extra minutes at the end of the game, but you know that if it starts at 2 o'clock, it's going to end roughly around 4 because there's going to be 45 to 50 minutes of play for the first half, 15 minutes of commercials, 45 to 50 minutes of the second half. And whatever the score is at the end of that game, that's the end. If it's 0-0, okay, now let me explain how this works. So you're probably wondering how
do you rank if a team is going 0-0 all the time, who's
right.
number 1, who's number 2?
Okay, so let's just take one league for instance. Everyone gets on me for only looking at the Premier League. It's the one that it's the best league so far. But there's leagues all over the world. But let's just take the Premier League for instance. There are 20 teams in the league. Okay. And they have what is called a table. So at the end of the game, if both teams are tied, each team is awarded 1 point on the table. Okay. If a team wins, they're awarded 3 points. So if you lose the game, just goose egg, no points.
Okay.
So what ends up happening is during the year, you're fighting for progression on that table. So right now in the Premier League, Arsenal have, I think they're at 49 points. Maybe they've just they just got beat by Man City. So Manchester City's actually at the head of the league right now. But so you add up points throughout the year, and at the end of, it's different. They don't have like they don't have a playoffs the way that we have a playoffs.
What sounds like I'm into disc golf, and I'm about to make the correlation if you guys don't know what that is. So disc golf has a disc golf points tournament at the end of the season, and you get points every majors tournament that you play in based on how well you finish in that tournament. So if you're finishing first, you're getting all these points, and it's not just how well you finish, but it's also how well you play in between each rounds. So like your rounds are being scored as well, and so like only a certain amount of players get invited to that points tournament when it's all said and done. So that's kind of like the same thing?
Very close,
okay.
Yeah. And then they have these cups, like, so throughout the year, not only are you playing for the trophy of your league, but you're also playing in like the FA Cup. You're playing for there's the UEFA Champions League. So you've got these different leagues that go on, and there's the cups happen. So like right now, Champions League is playing right now.
Okay.
But that progresses throughout the year. So at the end of this round of the Champions League, everyone goes back to their club season. And then like a couple months will pass, and they'll come back and they'll play the quarterfinals. Okay. And so that like the cup will start like and will end 6 months later.
What in the world?
Yeah, it's very different from the way that we. I
mean, we have playoffs, and it's like
and ours is one and done, or like a series.
So you can lose in the cup games. Oh gosh, I sound like a rookie. I'm so sorry.
No, you are a rookie.
It's like, you can lose like a game or whatever in that, but as long as you win a couple more, you can still make it to the.
I'm actually not sure because I only joined this Champions League in the round of 16. So I don't know what happens if it's like the World Cup, which this is where I'm going to sound like a noob. If it's like the World Cup, then they have what's called a group stage. So you're in a group with 4 different teams, and you play each team in your group. Whoever is the top 2 teams from that group progress to the next round, and then from then on it becomes a basically one and done. Except in the Champions League, one team will play on their home turf. Mm-hmm. It's called the first leg, and then they'll play another game on the other team's turf. Okay. The reason they do that in the Champions League is because sometimes you'll have a club from Spain playing against a club from England, and so it's not fair to the club from Spain to be playing in England because you've got the home crowd fans. And it's in
different climates and stuff.
Different climate, everything. So it's fair to have both teams play a leg at their own home.
That makes sense.
So yeah, that's what's happening now. I actually haven't seen past the round of 16 now, but so yeah, you have got these cups going on now. The crazy thing, and this is the thing that blew me away when I got into this, and it's still one of the funniest videos that like I get comments on it to this day. Like people laughing at I was so shook at the idea that you can lose your spot in the league. So they have this idea of relegation, which I think would be beautiful for American sports. It's amazing. But let me explain how it works. So there are the bottom 3 teams in the league they have a relegation fight at the end of the year, basically. So if you're at the bottom 3 of the league, every year you get demoted to the league underneath you. So there are 4. Let's take English football for example. There are 4 professional leagues, and then there are I think there's 11 tiers. There's a bunch of tiers underneath there, and there's the Premier League, the English Football Championship. No, something like that. There's four leagues.
Yeah,
then there's League 1 and League 2, and basically, if you're at the bottom 3 of the Premier League, you can drop down to the next league, and if you're at the bottom 3 of that league, you get demoted to the next league underneath that. So basically,
and this league down here just holds all the.
Can
you get bumped out of that league as well?
Yes, you can get
What
demoted.
happens?
So you go bankrupt. So
oh shoot!
So you can not only lose your team, your club could end up just dissolving, because in English football you're not allowed to be bad. There's no you don't get draft picks because you're the worst.
You can't be the Browns and the Jets every
No,
year?
you don't just get to keep existing if you suck.
Wow.
So
I actually don't hate that.
No, I know.
You know what I'm saying?
It's such an American idea.
Yeah, it's like, hey, look, don't be garbage, and you want.
Right. Meritocracy.
Could you imagine what the pressure would be like on coaching hires and the draft? Everything elevates by a million.
It's insane. So managers will get fired for just losing points on the table. Like, dude, you're slipping. We got to get you out of here. Get somebody else in, because you're trying to fight to stay in the league.
Wow.
So these bottom 3 teams, what ends up happening, one negative of it is it becomes a revolving door a little bit.
Sure.
So the team that gets demoted is still leagues better than the teams in their league, so they can get promoted pretty quickly. But here's the awesome thing. Go ahead.
I don't want to cut you off, but I've got to know. So this bottom tier team in last gets demoted. Does the top team of the last league get promoted?
Yes. So the top 3 teams of the second tier move, and they just replace. So they swap places.
Okay.
So
I can see the revolving door now.
So you want to be fighting for promotion in one league, and this other team is fighting to stay above the relegation line.
Okay.
Every year. So every year there's going to be 3 new teams in the Premier League and 3 new teams in the Championship League.
Wow.
And so one thing that's awesome about this is, theoretically, you and I could go overseas. Now, they wouldn't stand for this. That's Americans coming over there. But we theoretically could go over there, start a club with our friends, and if we were good enough and we played the system well enough, theoretically, it's impossible, but we could work our way up to the Premier League. Anyone can start a club, and anyone can...
As long as you have the funding and the players.
Right, and you compete and you win. So basically, you're rewarded for winning. So what we should do, since I'm not going to have a video for you to react to in this video particularly, we should get you to react to this show called Welcome to Wrexham, okay?
Okay.
Now, I've watched the show, and it's what made me fall in love with it. It's what made this my tied for first favorite sport. I love it.
Wow.
It's by watching Welcome to Wrexham.
Wait, tied for first, so you're right there with...
Yeah, it's with the NFL with me. American football, and...
Wow, man.
It became an obsession, dude. I really fell in love with it.
Wait. As a Cowboys fan, is there a team that you have chosen that is also just perpetually letting you down?
So, this is a ongoing saga on the channel. People continue to comment, have you picked a team to support yet?
Okay.
There are about 5 teams that every time I see them play, I end up rooting for them. And one of those teams, I haven't chosen one to be all in on. One of those teams is the Cowboys of the Premier League.
Well, when you say that, is it because they're letting you down, or is it because they have the money to bring in resources?
So they're one of they call the Big 5. It's the Tottenham Hotspur. Okay, they're one of the Big 5 teams.
Say that name again.
Tottenham Hotspur. So they call them Spurs.
Okay.
But that's the name of the club. Also, something new about this video is so sporadic.
That's okay.
I'm just regurgitating everything I've learned.
Yeah. This is fun.
Something about the clubs there, they don't have names like our teams do.
Big names?
Right. They will have 3 or 4 nicknames for the team. So you might hear Manchester United. You might hear them called the Reds. You might hear them called I don't know them. The Dragons, I think. But I can't remember. But there's...
So what's titling their jerseys? Is it just their
United,
club name?
the name of the club. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but Tottenham Hotspur is the name of the club, and their nickname is Spurs.
All right.
Arsenal are the Gunners. They have like a logo of a cannon.
Nice.
So Arsenal is one of the good teams. Everyone keeps telling me that I should support Arsenal, but so Tottenham though, they're the team that they've got really talented roster, and they will do amazing things, and they will look like one of the best teams, and then they'll do what they call Spurs things, or they will bottle, which is choking. They will end up like losing. The other day they lost 4-1 to Leicester, and Leicester's just like a mid-table team. And so it's like they can beat Manchester City or they can lose to Leicester, and it's just like it's totally the Cowboys.
So in comparison, they can beat the Philadelphia Eagles or lose to the
or
Cleveland
lose
Browns.
to or almost lose to the Texans, like that kind of thing. So
Yikes.
It's very similar to the Cowboys as currently constructed. The only difference is Tottenham have never won anything significant ever in their history, and they've been around since the 1880s. So they've never won anything.
I feel like you have a natural draw to teams.
Kind of, except the Cowboys have such a storied history. Like there's championship pedigree behind that.
Until you hit the 2000s.
In my lifetime, it's basically living as a Tottenham fan. So I kind of see myself in the fan base a little bit because it's like there's big expectations, but there's also disappointment. And
Sure.
Anyway, but there's also I root for United a lot when I see them play, and they would be maybe a more accurate description of the Cowboys. They were once amazing. In fact, most people know who Manchester United are, even if you don't know anything about the sport.
That's the red and blue stripe? Yeah, okay. I see those jerseys all the time.
Is it red? It's red, for sure. Red and gold, I think.
Is it red and gold? Is it the ones where the stripes go down like this?
Let me look it up.
I feel like there's a red and blue one that I've seen.
Oh, no. You're thinking of Barcelona. That's where Messi played. FC Barcelona.
Okay, yeah.
But Manchester United is a English team. They're red and gold.
Let me see if I've seen their jerseys.
It's just red.
Oh, I'm not sure that I'm familiar with that jersey pattern.
Yeah. Ronaldo played for him for a little bit, but now he's playing in a.
So clear something up for me because somebody told me this or something, or maybe I read it one time. I don't know if it's a fluke or whatever. These players, can they be subcontracted to other teams at any given point?
No,
like from a club.
I don't think so.
They can't do like 3-game contracts and stuff like that.
No, y'all can tell me. I've never heard of this. They do have what's called a transfer window, which is basically like the trade
deadline.
Yeah, except it happens once in January and once in another month. I don't remember when that is.
Okay.
But basically, you have like a month that you can get transfers in. I don't know about I've never heard about that.
Because I don't know, and maybe this is like a lower league thing or something like that. But I could have sworn one time I saw like a player had he signed like a 3-game. His season was over, so to say, but he was good enough to play on this other squad, and the club loaned him or whatever. For
yes. There is a loan. I don't know anything about this. You guys are going to have to actually educate me still. I don't know much about loans and things, but I know when I'm playing FIFA, there's like this loan. You can be on loan for a club. Yeah, y'all need to explain that to me.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Because that sounded so cool to me because I'm like I'm thinking about as an American football fan, if I'm good enough on my team, like let me think of somebody who's on a garbage team that's really good. What's his name? Myles Garrett that plays for the Browns. Every year they're terrible, but he is one of the best defensive ends in the league. And it's like they're not even playoff eligible, but another team comes in and picks them up. Yeah. That would be cool, Like then you end up with these superstars,
Oh yeah, Cowboys would be.
Y'all got the money, man.
I would take advantage of that.
Y'all got the money.
That's another thing with English football and whatever. There is no salary cap.
Wow.
So it's. The teams who are at the top of the league often stay at the top of the league because they have the resources. And most people they tend to be okay with that. They don't really mind as much. Like, to the victor go the spoils kind of attitude.
Sure.
It's like if you've won and you have a history of winning, you should be able to use the resources that you've earned.
Is every player on that team making comparable amounts of money, or is there you got absolute studs that are making hundreds of millions of dollars, and you got these guys making like $50,000?
Oh, they're gonna definitely allocate more resources to players who are of higher caliber.
Gotcha.
So they'll sign like a guy like Ronaldo for like $300 million or something like that. Like
gotcha.
they'll give them extra.
So because the reason I'm asking is because there's with the NFL National Football League. There's the NFLPA, which is the Players Association, which has come in and said you can't pay a player less than this much. So there's a floor that you can hit, and so I didn't know like if there was something like that in soccer.
I'm honestly not sure. There are what they call financial fair play rules.
Okay.
But I don't know what those rules are. So like I'm at the point in my journey where I know the sport well enough now. I'm kind of getting acclimated to it, but I don't know all the inner workings of it. But yeah, well, there was something else that I was wanting to explain, and I don't even remember at this point.
I feel like I've just been hit with a fire hydrant of information.
Yeah, there's a lot of
I love
information.
it, dude. This is cool.
So
I've never had like questions answered about this or anything because I've never asked them, and so
Right.
this is really
so something that would be cool. And the reason I wanted to do this video is I'm gonna take you on maybe a few reactions just to kind of like show you some of the stuff that I've been looking into.
sure.
One of the things would be awesome to get you to react to Welcome to Wrexham.
Okay.
So this is the show. Now let me explain the show. That was where my train of thought was going.
you.
Okay, Welcome to Wrexham is a documentary about a club, Wrexham AFC, it's a football club in Wales. Okay, they're in the fifth tier of fifth tier of English football, meaning they're not even a professional club. So they're a tier under. They were once in the Championship League, which is right under the Premier.
Wow.
So they had been playing at a very high level, good, they had never been in the Premier League, but they were always, a professional club, and then they got relegated, and then they got relegated, and then they got relegated. Now they're not even a professional club.
Wow.
But the community surrounding Wrexham are so, like, just the loyalty that they have for their club is,
Wow.
and they've been through just the worst experience for decade. Like 15 years. They have not been able to get out of that fifth tier for 14 years.
So like players getting hurt and leaving and stuff, or what?
Yeah, and just the funding,
heartbreak games,
and they've lost so much funding because every time you get relegated, you can only use the amount of resources that your club makes, and so there's financial penalty for being relegated and all these kind of things. So it's the hardest league to get out of, basically, and so what ends up happening is. Have you watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
All right. So Rob McElhenney fell in love with English football because one of his, I guess, managers or somebody who worked with him in the writers' room was He's from England, and he got him interested in the game. And at first, Rob was like, I don't like this game. Like, it's not like American football.
Yeah.
And then he fell in love with it, and he decided, hey, I want to buy a club, but I don't have the money to buy a club. So he gives a phone call to Mr. Deadpool himself.
Reynolds?
And Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney bought Wrexham AFC, and they are now the owners of this Welsh football club.
I am immediately interested now.
It's so interesting. So they took over they had known nothing about managing a sports club, but now they're like shepherding and like they're trying to.
That is the most Ryan Reynolds things I've
Yes.
ever heard of. And Ryan Reynolds is probably one of my favorite actors right now. Not of all time, but one of my favorite current actors that are out there.
Right.
Because he's just such a funny guy. And I feel like I know what I'm gonna get every time I see him. So
Oh, yeah.
like thinking of him like managing a English football team is hilarious.
So they come in, they buy this club. They set people in place who know how to manage and run a club, but they're the owners, and so they make decisions. The whole city had to vote on whether or not they would let them win, and they won by like 94%.
Wow.
They let them come in. They brought some money to the club. Ryan Reynolds is able to get TikTok to sponsor the club, so they wear TikTok on their jerseys now.
That's cool.
And so a lot of things happened. They take some big swings. They bought some players. And so now they're really fighting. And I think this year they might get promoted. They might get back into the professional tier. So it's a fascinating series. You'll see the heartbreak of a loss. Like it's devastating.
Yeah, because
for
to
the
lose
fans.
at that level when you're trying to make
Right.
it up, that makes sense.
And so it's a really, really fascinating watch. It's what made me fall in love with the sport. In fact, one of my biggest videos right now is it's cleverly titled. It says, "Welcome to Wrexham has ruined American sports for me." It's not necessarily true. I'm still a fan of our sports,
Sure.
but it really did. Like for a little while, I was just like, this is so great.
Yeah, it's like this changes the game.
Yeah. So anyway, we should get you to react to Welcome to Wrexham. If you guys would like to see that, you know what you need to do. You need to smash the like button.
Yeah.
You need to hit us up in the comments.
Yo.
This is Corey.
Yeah, we didn't never even introduce me.
Yeah.
I'm Corey. I'm with Luke on another channel called Creative Criticals. Yeah, we react to music videos and other things. And Luke has shared with me his journey. We're obviously really close. And he shared with me his journey of how you guys have been just so incredible and so influential into his life and so supportive of his journey. And so I'm really interested in interacting with y'all and having some questions answered and a little bit of bantering because I'm telling y'all, I'm one of the biggest football fans, American football fans that you'll ever meet and talk to. So to have this kind of back and forth with y'all over soccer, it's going to be good.
Well, and it's fun too because there's a lot of little like playful jabs. What they have found is that I've been I hope so. I've been very respectful.
Okay.
And I've kind of gained some trust. So we've got a nice community here where it's okay. Like we have a little bit of back and forth between the Brits and
that's
the
healthy, man.
Americans.
That's healthy.
Yeah. So if you guys want to see Corey in more videos, please let me know. I'm gonna definitely get him involved.
And y'all just gonna have grace with me because I don't know anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know a single thing about this sport. I'm really excited. Like I hope they want to see me react because I'm excited to watch some of these videos.
It's fun, man.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I guess we'll hop out of here.
Yeah.
See you guys in the next video.
See y'all later.